Hello guys, my name is Crystal and I'm going to be making a video talking about my spiritual journey. I'm gonna talk about how I got here, some of the things that happened to me, what happened to me before I got here, what's going on with me now, and where I'm going in the future. And so the point of this channel, or my spiritual journey, better yet, my spiritual evolution, is going to be what I'm referring to. My spiritual evolution, not necessarily just a journey, but it's more of an evolution. So it's going to be me talking about how I evolved and how I'm continuing to evolve. Is how I believe that God is all. I believe in God, I believe in source, I believe in the universe. And I'm going to talk about how I got to this thought process. And I didn't start here. Where I started was in church, like a lot of people did. And so, like a lot of people, I started in church going, I'm not going to say every day, but almost every day. So I was there the weekend, I was there Saturday, I was there Sunday, I was there for Bible class, I was there for choir rehearsal, usher board meeting. When I was younger, I went with my parents. And so some deacon meetings, not many of those though, missionary meetings, matron meetings, all of the above. So whatever they had, I was pretty much there because my parents made me go when I was younger. Then as I got older, I went on my own because I thought that's what I was supposed to do as a whole. And I believed that I was doing right. And so I was going to stay on this journey because I wanted to do what I was taught to do. And so what happened was something in me began to change, and I no longer felt like the path that I was on was the right path or the best path for me. And so instead of me going to church every single Sunday and being in actual ministries, and I was also like a head of a ministry at one point, or at least the head of a ministry for a particular church service. So there were different church services, and so for one service, I was the head of a team for that particular church service. And so I stepped away from everything at one point. And when I sit back and think about it, me being able to connect in the past was more of me trying to force myself, and it was more of faith and it was more of believing, as opposed to now it is knowing, because I can honestly say that growing up and even as a young adult in my 20s and early 30s, that as I was going to church and doing everything I was supposed to do, I was going off of what I was taught, which was faith and believing. And I believed, and I could see God in different situations. But until you get to the other side, you would never know how it's really supposed to be. There's so much more than what we are taught, what we're shown, and what we believe and what we know. And I can't say my journey is like everybody's journey that grew up like I did in church, but I will say that where I'm at now, I know that I know that I know. And so for me, and the way that I explained it to my parents, who are still regular church going people, is that I was not able to connect with God in church, and the way that I'm connecting to God now is much more stronger than I was able to connect in church. And it just wasn't for me. And I still believe in God. It's just I was not able to connect to God in that type of way. And of course, that's the watered down version that I gave my parents when I say I still believe in God. There's a lot more to it. I don't believe in the church God. And everybody has their own definition. But I was more of a follow rules and regulations type of church goer. And I was in the box type of church goer. So your typical average church goer is who I was. And I was happy with it, and I thought that's what I was supposed to do in life, and I was on this journey. I was tithing every Sunday. I was going to church every Sunday. Sunday, Wednesday, Tuesday, Saturday. Whenever they had something, I was there. I didn't miss because I was sick. I would go when I was sick. Like, I felt like I was doing everything that I was supposed to be doing. And so I know this may be a little bit too much, but I'm just trying to explain my mindset and how deep I was in church. And so at some point things started to feel uncomfortable to me. And sometimes when you feel uncomfortable, you can't explain it. You can't put words to it. Only thing you know is that something doesn't feel right and you can't shake it. And so I stopped going to church slowly. And then at one point it just became altogether. I stopped going. And I know it's because I was looking for something and I couldn't find what I was looking for. And I even remember telling my best friend that there has to be something more to this. I know God wants more for us, but I just don't know what it is. And she was like, well, what is more? And I was like, I don't know. I can't explain it. I just know that there is more. She's like, well, I can't get it. Like, I don't get it. I don't know what more is. So I don't know what you're trying to explain to me. And I was like, and I understood because I couldn't explain it myself either. So what I ended up doing was I started watching Super Soul Sundays. And if you've ever seen it, you know what I'm talking about when I say Super Soul Sunday. But if you haven't seen it, it is a show on the OWN network, and Oprah Winfrey hosts it. And she basically talks to different people about things related to spirituality for the most part. And she talks to everybody. She talks to Muslims. She talks to Christians. She talks to Buddhists. She talks to everybody about their thoughts and their beliefs about spirituality. And some of them talk about their journey. Some of them talk about their purpose. There are a lot of things that they talk about. And actually for me, listening and watching that show helped me a great deal, because it helped me understand that God is not a in-the-box God. For me, I don't understand how a God that's so loving would punish someone who may have been born in a family that has a different belief. So this God is so loving is going to punish me because of where I was born at, and I never got the opportunity to know or believe in Jesus. Like, it's not my fault, but I get punished because of it. What if I'm never around anyone that just never believes it? And so I'm not trying to bash or be down on people with a certain belief or mindset. I'm just saying, for me, now that I'm on the other side of it, I see things differently, and I know that God is bigger than all of that. And it's not just Christians, it's also Muslims, and it's people that believe in Allah and only Allah, people that believe in Buddha and only Buddha. So they're all the same to me, with different variations. And so what I took out of it is that I got to find out what works for me. And I know that I'm continually growing and I'm continually learning, and I just have to keep searching. And so, as you all know, that on this journey, there's no other option. There's no other option but to keep searching and keep learning and keep looking, because the minute you think you've learned and figured out something, guess what happens? You learn something completely new, and that old idea is in the past. Like, I can sit back and look at myself and think of some things that I thought about last year, and it's so far from my mindset for this year. And so when I think right now some of my beliefs, I get excited because I'm like, oh, I wonder what's the next thing I'm going to find out. I wonder what will I know next year this time. And it just constantly reminds me of something that you heard before and you hear people say it. And I had one of my friends tell me, and it just made so much sense. And he was like, you know the saying, the more you know, the more you find out you don't know nothing. That's true. I remember a commercial on TV that said, the more you know, the more you grow. But I guess that's kind of true, but also what is true as well, the more you know, the more you find out you don't know nothing. So what that means is that once you start learning and looking at things differently, you understand that your picture is not this big. The picture is now this big. And then when you get this big and you feel like you know everything that's in there, the picture gets this big. And you're like, oh, I got this master. I know everything that's in here. And then there comes that point where your picture gets this big. And so that's what happens. Like, the more you know, you find out you don't know anything, because it's so big that you're always going to be learning and you're always going to be growing. And so with this, I'm going to tell you what my journey is and what I've experienced and how I got here. So if you can relate, great. We can talk about it. We can discuss. I appreciate you watching. And so we're going to go from here.